Texans fans, buckle up, because the narrative around this defense has officially changed, and the rest of the league is starting to panic. A streak of dominant showings has turned this group into one of the most feared units in football, and insiders are now openly questioning whether anyone truly wants to face Houston when everything is on the line. The pressure up front, the speed in the secondary, the physicality all over the field. It's all coming together at the perfect time. But even with all this momentum, there's one major storyline that could define how far this team actually goes. Don't miss a second of this run. Hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in for every Texans update. I have to begin with the name that jumped off the page the moment I saw this take gaining steam: Ryan Fitzpatrick. And let me tell you something right now, Texans fans, when a guy like Fitzpatrick, someone who has seen more locker rooms than most quarterbacks ever will, someone who has lived through chaos, resurgence, and everything in between, looks at your defense and says, "This is a Super Bowl winning defense," you stop, you listen, and you feel that truth settle in your bones. Because Fitzpatrick doesn't throw out praise like that without conviction. And frankly, neither would I, but what really grabs me is the implication behind his words, the weight he places on CJ Stroud needing to elevate his game if this team truly wants to capitalize on what the defense is giving them. Let's get one thing straight. This Texans defense has become a downright menace. Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter are out there making life miserable for quarterbacks on a weekly basis, each sitting comfortably above 10 sacks and hunting like they've got something personal against the entire AFC. The run defense? Stout, unforgiving, the kind of unit that forces offenses to abandon their script before the first quarter even ends. That secondary, bruised and battered as it may be, is still flying around with the confidence of a top 10 group, refusing to let anybody take the top off this defense. That right there doesn't happen by accident. That's DeMeco Ryans putting his fingerprints all over this roster and saying, "This is who we are." But here's where Fitzpatrick hit a nerve, and I mean that in the best way possible, the accountability he put on CJ Stroud. Now trust me, I know what CJ brings to the table. I know the arm talent, the anticipation, the poise that made him Offensive Rookie of the Year and put him in MVP conversations earlier in his career. But coming off that concussion, missing those 3 weeks, trying to find that rhythm again, it hasn't been seamless. And Fitzpatrick isn't wrong to demand more from him. Because if you truly have a Super Bowl caliber defense, you don't waste that. You don't hope the offense figures it out. You make damn sure it does. You push your quarterback to rise to the moment, to complement that unit, to become the missing piece instead of the lingering question. And I'm going to be honest with you, the way this Texans team started 0-3, the way people wrote them off before the season even settled, the way they ripped off a 4-game win streak to get back to .500, that tells me there's something special happening behind the scenes. You don't dig yourself out of that kind of hole without belief, without leadership, without a defense that refuses to let the season slip away. When Fitzpatrick says no AFC team wants to see Houston in January, he's not speaking hyperbole. He's talking about the nightmare scenario of facing a defense that suffocates you for 4 quarters while an offense led by a maturing CJ Stroud tries to put the finishing touches on you. What I keep coming back to is this: the Texans don't need Stroud to be perfect. They need him to be sharp. They need him to be decisive. They need him to be the version of himself we've seen and the version they know he can consistently become. Because when the offense plays complementary football, when the run game supports him, when he's not pressing, when he's trusting his reads, this team looks dangerous. Not playoff participant dangerous. Not nice story dangerous. I'm talking we can take down anybody dangerous. And don't think the rest of the league hasn't noticed. Don't think teams aren't circling this matchup and whispering, "Please not them, not right now." But it comes down to consistency. It comes down to how high this offense can climb while the defense plays at a championship level. And I'm sitting here wondering, will the Texans capitalize on this rare alignment of talent, momentum, and identity? Or will they look back months from now and say they left something on the table? So let me ask you, Texans fans, do you believe CJ Stroud can elevate his game enough down the stretch to match the ferocity of this defense and push this team into true Super Bowl contention? Drop your thoughts below because I want to hear every bit of it. And while you're here, hit that like button, subscribe, and join our Texans community so you never miss a breakdown, a debate, or a moment in this incredible run.